In fact, everywhere we live, every thing we do exists in an environment, and so it should concern each and every one of us. We take on this jingle program, we'll come back, we're going to turn into the topic of conversation, and of course, we get started with our guests and roll on the discussions. Welcome back, dear viewers. It is a pleasure to have your company. If you're just joining us, we are just getting started, so you've not missed quite a lot. And the program on the airways right about now is Nature's Corner on the corridors of High Television, and we come here every Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we're just getting started. My name is Jabi Kitty. Today we shall be talking about World Environment Day and World Ocean Day. But do not worry if these days seems a bit confusing for you, because I have an expert with me in the house who will dissect all of these things for us, all of these things for us this afternoon, and ensure we grasp it just as much in the most simple language. The guest I have with me today is a very bright lady, one big, strong environmental activist who has been working particularly within the aspects of ocean conservation, marine debris pollution, and we've seen quite a number of works that she has done. She is a graduate from the Faculty of Environmental Science, where she studied all of the environmental jargons that we shall be talking about today. And she is also a member of the Association for Community Awareness, ASCOA. I'm talking about the one and only Epe Nuela. Good afternoon to you, Epe.
Good afternoon.
How are you doing? It is the second time we are having you on the program. It's a pleasure to have you once more.
Thank you.
So since the last time we've had you, and right now, what have you been up to?
I've been taking care of little things there, planning for environmental activities like the World Environment Day that happened yesterday. We did something small, and the World Ocean Day, which is upcoming, which are planning something also in another light related to the ocean.
Okay, so much is just going on. Everybody's just busy with the environment.
That's right.
But one question is that some people tend to criticize or tend to say that we are super busy with the environment, but the population, it seems a major part of the population is not busy with us, you know. For instance, World Environment Day was yesterday. I saw quite a number of online sessions going on, be it on Zoom, Google Meeting, people having online meetings to discuss the environment. But you see, in those meetings, it is mostly consists of the environmentalists themselves. So can we say that the people or the population are also part of this business of the World Environment Day?
The people that are really concerned are those that are aware. So that is why you find only like-minded people there. Because first of all, they're not by their own initiative. It is because they are not first of all aware of the importance of what we are doing. That is why they are being left behind. So we don't do it willingly. That is why we share information, we share flyers on all social media handles. But they are not interested because they don't first of all know about it before getting involved in it.
Okay, I think that's one point which I noted in the course of the conversation. But again, it brings a key point, and that is why we are doing programs like these to continue sensitizing the population about the importance of the environment. But now let's go straight. We are talking about World Environment Day, World Ocean Day. Now, even behind the scenes, I even asked you, when was the last time you went to the ocean, to the beach?
In March.
In March, and you went to swim. How was it? Describe it to our audience. Was it beautiful?
Somehow it was good for the areas that are clean. It was really good, but areas that they don't care was not looking good at all. But I believe that somehow people are trying to really adapt to cleaning the environment. Gradually, they are picking up something.
I think that particular phrase it brings us to a pertinent environmental problem, ocean problem as well. You've mentioned the fact that the areas that are clean, it is admirable to go to, but the areas that are not clean, it is not admirable. I'm sure we're talking about the debris and the litters that are in the beach. Maybe you want to throw more light on that, because I'm sure that's a major ocean and environmental problem.
Yeah, that's true. The debris along the coastline is a major environmental problem, which they did not just get there on their own. It is because of our human activities. And we are mostly depending on the waste management sector to take care of it without us even taking care of it at our local scale. Because if we start taking care of it, it will not reach the ocean. And as it does not reach the ocean, it will not affect the organism. And as it does not affect the organism, us feeding on those organisms will not be affected. So this thing is a chain that the effect will always come back to us, but we don't even realize it to begin with. So this waste along the coastline will also come from all these fluvial processes of improper disposal of waste, which they are carried through gutters, through rivers before they reach there. So I think that if we start taking care of our waterways, our rivers, our gutters, then we will reduce the impact of the waste along the coastline. We will protect those marine organisms, and we will protect ourselves because we are also feeding on them without knowing if they were poisoned or entangled by something else which has melted due to the heat, which is causing harm to us. So I believe that coming to celebrate the World Environment Day, understanding the impacts of marine debris, our perspectives are changing gradually about the environment and taking care of our coastline.
You've mentioned marine debris pollution, and you've explained it simply to the population to be litters and debris, dirt that we find along the coastline, the beach, be it at the beach or in the ocean. But one may be tempted to ask, is marine debris pollution the only problem that we face when it concerns ocean preservation?
That is the most visible one. Before we come now to this other chemical waste, the liquid waste that are present in the ocean, but that is the one that is most visible, because sometimes we'll find some waste, some kind of plastic, some kind of cans and containers that we don't even consume those products, but we'll find it along the coastline because they also come from other countries. They also come from other countries, and the water brings it closer to us. It shows the level of waste that is present in the ocean. So that is like one of the major problems, and it has a real impact on us, because when those wastes, when they are so much in the water in a relatively high amount, that environment cannot contain the water and the waste, so the waste has to go now to other areas. That is how we start suffering from floods and erosion in our farmlands, and water start entering people's houses.
Okay, and so Epinuela is telling us about marine debris pollution that affects our ocean and how it affects us in the long run. Nuela, maybe to our viewers watching, you want to throw more light on all the issues of ocean preservation. Nowadays, we hear things of species conservation in the ocean. We hear things like IUU fishing and other issues troubling our waters. Maybe you can throw more light on this.
Okay, first of all, I will begin with talking about the fishermen. The materials they are using to fish, if they are no longer good, I prefer that they get it and throw it in the right place, because leaving it there entangles those organisms, and when they die like that in that amount, they decompose and pollute that environment, which ends up poisoning other organisms. Also, they should remove those things, because when they are there, they consume the space along the coastline. So as they consume that space, the organisms begin to go further, which in the long run we might not be able to see fish, some certain species of fishes in the long run, because they have gone further, because the wastes have already occupied the area in which they are. Then also with one of the feasibility studies we did, the people were complaining that the Chinese boats, when they put their trap, the Chinese boats come, they cut their nets. So as they are cutting their nets, those things now, the nets now stay in the water.
Yeah.
As they stay in the water, it's also occupying that place, making the environment to be congested with waste, and it entangles the organisms and other things. It affects the environment, it affects that ecosystem, it affects the mating, the movement, the reproduction rate, which will only reduce the marine organisms present, which we might not be able to get the opportunity to see them and even show them to the future generation. So it's affecting the sustainability of that environment in a relatively high perspective.
Yeah, so in other words, when the fishermen throw their nets into the ocean, maybe nets that are bad into the ocean, it traps our fish species, and some of the fish species we rely on for food and for income. And even a pertinent issue as concerns to IUU fishing, when foreign vessels, commercial fishing vessels come when they peruse our waters, and they are destroying nets of fishermen, and also catch every little fish that is available in the waters. Thank you very much, Epenola. You've given us, I think, you've given me and the audience something little to chew on as concerns to World Ocean Day. But we are also celebrating World Environment Day, which was commemorated yesterday. So apart from ocean issues, what are some of the other problems plaguing the environment?
Okay, first of all, the theme for World Environment Day, which was celebrated yesterday, is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. And then the theme for World Ocean Day is catalyzing action for our ocean and climate. You can notice that all of these things are relating to climate change. All of them are portraying to climate change. So we have to really take care and manage our environment in a conducive manner. So this desertification and drought come as a result of us mismanaging the environment, mismanagement of resources, and how we cannot handle certain things around us. That is why yesterday, in commemoration of World Environment Day, we went out for monitoring and evaluation to plant trees in areas that we had planted, for those that did not do well, for those that were uprooted, because we are making emphasis on the importance of those trees, because if they are not there, we'll suffer a high rate of global warming, which will lead to desertification and drought. So according to the team, which we are talking about drought resilience, these are coping strategies that we are struggling to come about to reduce the impacts of the drought, because now we are already facing the consequences and we cannot eradicate it, but we can only reduce it in a minimal way. So that is why we are trying to just create the awareness. The emphasis are being placed to create the awareness to people, so that even in our absence, it will maintain, and the decision will be sustainable for them and the future generation, so that we can combat this aspect of climate change.
Speaking about themes, the theme for World Environment Day commemorated yesterday, as Noella has rightly highlighted, the theme is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. Of course, as Noella has said, calling for us to plant more trees, to restore our lands by planting more trees, and to also solve the issues of drought. And now the theme too for this year's World Ocean Day is catalyzing action for our ocean and climate. Noella, you've talked about the theme, you've thrown some light on the theme for World Environment Day. Let's come to the theme for World Ocean Day. Somebody may be wondering in the house, the person must have heard about the climate change issue, climate change. But now, mentioning climate change in the ocean is one new thing which it may be difficult for them to grasp, may be confusing for them, but how is climate change related with the ocean? Maybe you'd want to explain that relationship. How does climate change affect the ocean which we depend on?
Climate change affects the ocean we depend on, because it is because of the processes that are happening around us, which will lead to climate change. That is why in the rainy season you hear of high tides, in the dry season you say the tides are low. It is because it is really rainy in the rainy season. That is why the tides are high. That is why you used to hear people who say that the water has come really closer to the shore this time, and sometimes they'll make statements like the water has gone far. So climate change has a direct impact on the ocean. As we are reducing the trees as a result of development, we are felling down trees and we are not replacing them. The environment becomes hot, and as it becomes hot, there is melting of glaciers, the ice caps in the atmosphere, which is leading to high rainfall. And as there is high rainfall, that is how the water content in the ocean is really high. And when it is that high, then that space in the ocean, that all the water cannot be there. So the water now has to move to other areas, because when the water is present in all these water pathways like gutters, the rivers, the streams, they don't stay there. Since it is the river,
fresh water, it's running water.
Since it is running water, it will only take it to the ocean. And since that environment cannot contain all the water has to move to other areas. So now the climate change has an impact on the quantity of water in the ocean. Then now it will come back to us, because the water now will have to move to other areas to stay there, and while it is moving, it leads to flood. And since there are lesser trees, so that is why the water now, I can say the speed or the gravity carries more things because it does not have a barrier that can stop that speed. That is why I think last year or two there were situations that water carried people. It is because there were lesser trees, and because of development they have reduced some trees. Because I believe that what is even giving the water that pressure, it is because of the waste also that it pushes. That is what is even giving that water the pressure to carry more things. But if the water is plain, it will not be really that heavy to carry something, but because of the water and the waste, that is what combines
to form the pressure,
that carries things,
and so, even carries people.
Yes, it carried people, it killed some people. So by planting trees, you are making the ground to be firm, that the water can only wash up the topsoil. But by removing the trees, you are creating a situation where you meet an area today as a level land, but because of the flood, it will be something that is slopy. It will be slopy and deep because the water is washing away the sand, and it is affecting us agriculturally, because now when it washes away the manure present in the soil, our things will not do well. Due to high rainfall. The rain washes it, and in areas that are facing extreme temperature, because we cannot really manage certain things, like for example burning our waste and not taking care of the environment, the impact makes the environment to be so hot that it sometimes kills our crops, for crops that do not need extreme sunlight, even though they need sunlight for photosynthesis. But crops that do not need extreme sunlight, they end up burning the crops and they end up not doing well, which is reducing people's investment and leading to high rate of poverty and hunger.
You see, these people are just when I tell you they are the experts, they are the experts to explain to you, to explain this thing to you in the best way possible. But if I could grasp what she has said, I have understood that it's a chain, it's a circle, that it does not end with one aspect, it goes on to touch the other aspect. Noella says when you don't plant trees, or when you cut down trees and you don't replant them, it creates a drought, it creates a desertification. And now when water is passing now, when one of water is coming down, what gives it that too much pressure is because there are limited trees, and if the trees were there, probably they will mitigate the level of pressure that the water will come down with, and then they go into the ocean, and which it still comes up to affect us, because when the tides are rising, we cannot effectively participate in the activities of the ocean, and we start hearing that people have maybe died in the water has carried this person away and stuff like that. Of course, this is the program Nature's Corner right here over High Television, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about World Environment and World Oceans Day. World Environment Day was commemorated yesterday, June 5th, with theme Land Restoration, Desertification, and Drought Resilience. And World Oceans Day will be commemorated on June 8th, that's on Saturday, with theme Catalyzing Action for Our Ocean and Climate. We take on this jingle break. When we come back, we go into the challenges of preserving the environment. Welcome back, dear viewers. Of course, we're still talking environment right here, and again, I repeat, environment is not a far-fetched idea. It is not something from space. We are talking about that place where you build your house. We're talking about that place where you go to work your farm. We're talking about that place where your store is located at, where your office is located at. We're talking about that place where your school has been built. We're talking about that place where you go to fetch money. We're talking about that place where you go to sell. All of it is the environment. We're talking about that place where you go to fish, even where you go to buy fish. It is the environment. All of it encompassed. And yes, we're talking about World Environment Day and World Oceans Day. And I have my guest here with me, Epenuela, who is an astute environmentalist who has given us some of the problems that we are facing when it concerns the environment and the ocean. And now, having enlisted these problems, I'd want to ask now, Nuela, what role does these international days play in towards solving some of the problems that you have enlisted?
These international days are very important because they did not just come up by chance. It was out of research that they realized that the people that established the days and signed it cannot do everything alone. So they are celebrated worldwide so that people should understand. They are creating awareness so that when next they are coming up, or if they are asked, or if they are doing something, they are not doing it because of the day. They are doing it because they know why they are doing it. Okay, like for our score, I will be doing online sensitization this year for World Ocean Day. We'll be doing online sensitization with all our social media handles. It is because we don't want to do a repeated something. We have been carrying out cleanups, but we have realized that people are getting involved without knowing why they are cleaning. So that since everything is pointing out this year to climate change, we want to do online sensitization and reach a wider audience so that when they are coming for other programs like International Coastal Cleanup, Cameroon Beach Cleanup, they are not coming as if they are coming just to partner. They are coming because they know why they are coming. They are coming to help. They are coming to build. They are interested and they know what they are doing. That even their volunteers that are coming, they are not coming because they are coming under somebody, but they are coming because they know the reason why they want to do these things.
So when we talk about these international days, you've mentioned one aspect in solving some of these environmental issues. You've mentioned sensitizing the public about the problems that we are facing environmental-wise and the need for them to partake in it. But you as an environmentalist, what other solutions will you propose so we take a step forward towards solving some of these problems?
Okay. Towards solving some of these problems of climate change, first of all, I believe that people that are older, they already have a certain mindset about how things go on around them. So it will be difficult to convince them. So I think since we should focus on the youths, the younger ones, so that they will grow with a different mindset. They will grow with a different perspective about the environment. They will grow with their mindset that climate change is already a problem and it is their utmost responsibility to try to combat it for the betterment of their future. Because the older people, their parents, they don't first of all see it as a problem before getting a solution for it, because they know that things are going on well, they can feed very well, and they can handle their daily activities really well. But if we tackle the youth, they will be there to empower even the ones that come behind them. If you notice, even in schools, there's a student government. As this one leaves, this one takes over. So they will already throw more light. They will already be empowering the ones coming behind them, so that as they are helping them, they will also help the ones behind them, and it will make them to grow in an environment that they understand the problem, and everyone that is a product of that environment will always do what they have seen to continue that legacy.
You have mentioned that on international days like these, the people in the UN big offices, they sit and they craft some of these days, they sign the conventions, but they cannot do all the work. But now we have to distribute it amongst ourselves and see what we can do as individuals and as a community to solve some of these issues. Now let's look at the roles of some key stakeholders in this in pushing forward these international days. Let's start first with the government. You are an environmentalist. Surely, maybe you have one or two things you don't have to. Maybe you want to pinpoint as the role the government has to play on days as these and even after to ensure that we are working towards preserving the environment and the ocean.
Okay, I think as I was talking about the youths before, I think the government can involve youths in these things, like the student government, like I was saying, just the youths around. Because, for example, if the delegate is organizing something, I will be really feeling timid to go close. But if I hear that maybe it's a coursemate of mine that is involved, I will really do something. I will really put in the effort, because we are afraid of that protocol. We are afraid of going around the person. So even when we have good ideas, we cannot really show what we know, what we've learned from other cohorts, other things that we have studied online. So I think they should really work with the youth, the student, government, so that it will empower more people around to put in the effort in doing what they have to do. I also think that there should be sessions both online and in person. There are people out there that are interested, but because they are not in that environment, they cannot really participate. Like, for example, somebody might be in Bamenda, but they are interested in ocean conservation, but because there are no beaches in Bamenda, they cannot really do anything to show. So I think they should really do online sessions, invite people, put it in people's school programs, put it in their school syllabus while they are studying, so that even when that time comes, they are already prepared. They already know why they are doing what they are doing, and they are feeling empowered, and at that time they are bringing more people, because I can really convince my friend to follow me somewhere rather than even the government official.
Governor or the
Yes,
or the
because they'll just see
yes.
those policemen with guns, they'll even be afraid. But I can tell my friend that, okay, this thing is good, and they will really listen. So I think engaging the youths, involving them in online sessions and even on ground sessions, the information should be shared worldwide. It should be shared in school groups, not only in areas that have beaches, but in areas that do not have beaches, so that even when the next one is coming, they have already programmed themselves and they already know why they are doing these things, that they are not doing it to get the certificates, but they are doing it because they are helping the environment and they are helping themselves. Because if we notice, we'll find waste in our environment that we did not even consume the products. So by getting more people, for example, waste will leave. If we continue cleaning here, but people in Bamenda that do not have beaches, they'll continue polluting, though the pollution does not come from one side. But the way that you can restrain yourself is not the way they'll restrain themselves, because they have not seen the effect along the coastline. So I think we should really involve everybody, so that everybody can also restrain themselves in their minimal way to solve this problem of environmental pollution.
Quickly, you mentioned the issue of Bamenda, for instance, not having a beach, the Northwest region not having a coastline. I think one time we had a conversation, and you made mention that even the debris in non-coastal areas can still find themselves in coastal areas. So I think to the people watching, maybe that you'd want to throw in, you want to wake up that particular aspect again and talk about it. So people who are living, maybe, let's say maybe you're in Boya or Bamenda, should not feel like, okay, they have no concern when it concerns things of the ocean.
Okay, there are people in Bamenda, they are directly involved in the level of pollution, in as much as us in Boya we are polluting, but they are also involved because these are it comes from these water pathways, fluvial processes, from erosion, transportation through rivers. So now these waste are being carried through the rivers, though in a long time, but it will reach us. It will reach down along the coastline, because the ocean is like a deposit that receives everything. It receives everything. We don't take note of it. We only take note of it when it has been brought again back to the coastline after some time. Just imagine that people are cleaning like every time. This month there is World Earth Day, World Environment Day, World Ocean Day. I bet you people will go and clean on World Environment Day. Maybe there are people that clean, but they will go on Saturday. They'll still meet a high quantity of waste there. Is it that they did not clean well? It is because of the other areas that are still polluting, and as they are polluting, the waste reaches there, and we can only detect it when they have come to the coastline. So that is why we are calling and pleading on them, so that they should understand this aspect, rather than waiting for the waste, for us to wait for the waste to get there before we clean it. We can easily prevent it from reaching there at all, so that we can at least manage the quantity that is already there to take care of it before fighting for the ones that are coming.
Okay, and so Noella is making us to understand that even if we live in non-coastal areas, we should not feel unconcerned about the issues of ocean conservation. Because take, for instance, the one aspect of marine debris pollution, where we find so much dead and litters in our coastline. And as Noella rightly highlighted, when we have heaps of garbages in our towns, and now when they are there, they don't stay there forever. Water, maybe rainwater or maybe rivers, they'll pass and they'll push it off, and rainwater through the gutters will take it to the rivers, and still the dead will not end up in the rivers, because the rivers still wash up in the ocean no matter how long the distance is. And that's how the process it takes now from a non-coastal area to a coastal area. Now let's talk about the issue of NGOs, still within the line of what we can do on days like these to chip in towards the fight for environmental conservation, be it the mountains, the oceans, or whatsoever. What is you're from the NGO perspective? maybe I'm sure you can be in the best position to tell us what NGOs can do, maybe to NGOs watching, to somebody who has a prospect of opening an NGO one day, civil society, what they can contribute on days like this, what they are expected to do to commemorate these days.
Okay, to commemorate these days, NGOs, other civil society organizations, you can carry out awareness campaigns to create more awareness on why you are doing these things. You get more people from the community involved so that they will also know why they are cleaning, to see that their actions are also affecting them as well as everybody. You also carry out cleanup exercises so that it will help them to see that if this work is the way the environment is clean after that particular cleanup, it will encourage them to know that if this work continues, it can be reduced and the impacts will be reduced, while struggling to also reduce the impact. We can reduce the rate of pollution. I also think that NGOs should do questionnaires first of all, to ask the people some certain questions, like, people don't really pollute voluntarily. They think that they are cleaning their houses. That is why you see in some places they remove the waste from their house and they dump it beside the road.
Yeah.
So they think they are cleaning their houses. So you have to first of all get their perspective of why they are not taking care of the environment, because to them they have taken care of their immediate environment. So by getting their perspective, you will know how to start handling things, how to start explaining it to them, and you will see that they will get more involved in the cleaning of the environment. Maybe they will start practicing sorting of their waste. Like most people are already practicing plastic reusing, those people selling fillery. Imagine that if they were not selling the fillery and all these plastics that they are reusing, and everything just had to go back to the ocean or back to the waste management industry, then it will be really unbearable with the amount of waste that will be found in our environment. So I think that the questionnaire part is really important to first of all know their technical know-how and understanding of the issue at hand before trying to come in with a solution, so that you will know how to change their mindset and perspective gradually.
Okay, then lastly now, the community members. Remember during the start of the program, I did mention that some people feel like these issues of water environment, it's not their concern, like they feel disattached from it. And so now, on days like these international days, what can members of the communities also do to join towards fighting for ocean conservation and even environmental preservation at the same time? Because some of them are in the house and they feel like, okay, this thing does not concern me. It is for the environmental people. It is for the people who speak about environment every time. So what can they chip in as a community, as individuals and as a community to commemorate these days?
Okay, what the community can do to encourage, to celebrate, they usually call it the commemoration, the celebration of the day. It is because it is with that joy that you understand the importance of that day. So the UN that they established this day, they will not come and take care of your environment. They are just there to create that awareness that you take care of your space where you are. So the part they have to play there is just to take care of their environment, and they should not also wait for these days before they take care of their environment. The same way they don't wait for people to tell them to eat, to sleep, and do their daily activities. So that same energy should be channeled also to their environment by taking care of it. And when these days come forward, they should be celebrating it with joy in cleaning their environment, because they are preventing themselves from diseases that will come close to them as a result of not taking care of their environment. Because there's a saying that taking care of your environment is taking care of yourself. If you live in a nasty environment, mosquitoes will come and prey on the trash, and they will still come back and bite you, and you still have to treat yourself compulsorily. So I think taking care of your environment entails that you are taking care of yourself indirectly. So we are begging on the community that when this international days come up, it is not for the UN, but it is for us to take care of our environment to ensure our health and safety.
All right, thank you very much, Epinuela. If you're just joining in and wondering what is on your screens right about now, it is at the program Nature's Corner on the corridors of High Television, and today we are discussing about World Environment Day and World Ocean Day. Nature's Corner is an environmental program that is aired on High Television every Thursday as from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and we discuss issues of the environment, issues that affect you and I. Issues like climate change, issues like deforestation, tree planting, and of course, even issues like flood disasters that affect you and I. Because remember, when the flood in Buea happened last year, 18 March, it was you and I who lost our relatives. It was you and I who lost our properties. It was you and I who lost money, lost our lives, and even were injured. So it is a point of concern that we bring it every time to tell you that the environment is you and I, and it is not far-fetched. We take on this jingle break. We'll come back and we continue with our conversation with Epenuela. It is a pleasure to have your company right up to this time of the show. We are more than 30 minutes into the program, and it is lovely to know that you are still watching, because of course we will not be here to talk every time if you're not out there to watch and to listen to us, and hopefully to put in practice what we tell you every time. Epenuela, my guest for today's program, has talked vividly on the issues of the ocean and the environment. She's talked about the problems facing or the problems plaguing the ocean, such as marine debris pollution, biodiversity conservation, fishing. She's also talked about environmental issues as deforestation, and she has urged us to plant trees, clean our environment, sort out our waste before we throw them out. And even when we are throwing, we should ensure that we are throwing the biodegradable ones, the ones that can easily get rotten, and not just throw away plastics anyhow. We have also talked on the theme for this year's World Environment Day, which is land restoration, desertification, and drought resilience. We've also talked on the theme for World Oceans Day, which is catalyzing action for our ocean and climate. We've talked about what the government, NGOs, and you community members can do in solving some of the problems that we have right now, like climate change, plastic pollution, and a whole lot of other things. But now let's put the spotlight on Epenuela right about now. She has been talking right from the start of this program, and I'm sure you must be wondering, how did a fine girl as this get into environmental conservation? As most of you would say, well, it's for some particular people. But of course, she has proven that it's just for everybody, not just for some particular people. But we are quite interested to find out and to lay your story as a success story, an inspiring story that may just inspire others out there to join this issue of environmental conservation. Nuela, what brought you towards the corridors of environmental conservation, particularly ocean conservation?
Okay, I'm a graduate from University of Buea, Department of Environmental Science major and Occupational Health and Safety minor. So in our forums, NGOs usually send their flyers for us to join their programs. And when I saw that of ASCOA, I was really interested in knowing what they are doing, and from there I attended some series of educational programs, which that is where they started enlightening me on certain things which really caught my attention, and I began to understand everything about the environment, how our health is connected to it, how our safety is connected to it, how we should take care of the environment. So that was just it. And as I got to ASCOA, I started noticing now on that other NGOs what they had been doing in celebration, and I realized that ocean conservation also, it is part of the environment. It is just one part of the environment, but all of them are interconnected. So if we minimize one, we'll suffer the effect of all. Will not just suffer the effect of that one. So I think that was what really inspired me to push forward, and I'm still looking forward to learning more and getting into more opportunities in the environment so that we can help to protect the environment and protect ourselves as well.
I like one thing you said. You saw a flyer in a group, and it lured you towards environmental conservation. It just goes as far to show the role of sensitization, the role that it plays in our society and in affecting change. But now, far from then, you saw this flyer and you got involved, and you've been working towards this particular sector. What is the zeal that keeps you going, that keeps the fire burning throughout these years?
Okay, based on other activities that we have been doing, the more I see in our cleanup events, I see the more volunteers are joining, volunteers are interested, and the number keeps increasing with the new names that we always find, new volunteers that keep joining after each event. I realize that the role of sensitization is really important, and I know that as new people are coming, one day we'll really fight this pollution in a very high rate, and we'll also create an impact to the future generation. So by the new volunteers, the tons of trash, every time we go, we'll meet trash, we'll clean in a relatively high amount. By the results we are seeing, it is really encouraging to know that the work is being done, and the partners that I see that are joining, I'm really encouraged to know that we are holding on and we are moving forward.
As an environmentalist and one who has been working particularly towards marine debris pollution, plastic pollution, and ocean conservation, what are some of the personal efforts that you've chipped in towards fighting for this cause?
Okay, towards fighting for this cause in reducing the impacts of marine debris and plastic pollution. Like I said, I was a student in the University of Buea, Department of Environmental Science. So I'm still in the forum. So whenever these opportunities come up, I always make sure that I share the link, particularly in the forum, so that people should not study in an environment that will be purely theoretical, because in environmental science we don't do internship. So it is just there. People just, it's like you just come and
there is no internship.
There's no internship in environmental science in University of Buea. So you just come and study and just leave. So I always give them this opportunity to discover themselves. Some people, there are people that have a certain passion, but they have not seen that environment to relate to. So by getting involved, I always send these flyers by getting them involved. There are some that they will say they are unable to register and everything. I always make sure that they are part of it, so that at least, when you are training or you are working with people that have the right ideas and perspective, it is way easier than when you are training somebody just on the way. So by getting them involved, it makes things easier for us, the training easier for us, and by getting their recommendations and feedbacks in the long run, it is really encouraging.
Okay, it is really encouraging, and your story is thus inspiring. And I'd also want to find out, has the story been all sweet and rosy? Has there been challenges on the way that you think that maybe it should be noted to further encourage, or it should be solved to further encourage other young people to join the field?
It has not been really rosy. At times you even send it to people, they say it's a scam, all those things, they call you Izaka. When you tell somebody you're doing environmental science, they just target you straight, Izaka. Or they say you want to go and be planting flowers in May 14. So it's not really easy to first of all convince people. But since the department does not have internship, I think it is now their responsibility to look for this NGOs and fit in to discover their passion, to discover where they can flow, so that as they are going ahead in the master's level, the same ignorance that they came in at the level of undergraduate, they should not take it forward. But now they are going with a specification that they know what they are doing, they know what they are fighting for. Because if you notice, like in the government sector, you hear that the delegate of environment and the rest, it did not come by chance. There are people that studied it and knew about it. So you don't expect that somebody who also studied it in school but cannot say anything, cannot attach to any field. So I think that as there's no internship, it is their place to get these opportunities, and that is why I emphasize on sensitization through social media handles and getting the youths involved, because there are many people with a theoretical knowledge but practically they don't know anything. So by getting them involved, they will try to understand now and place classroom work and practical together and understand perfectly well and present good projects that can be recommended in the future to tackle these environmental problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Ifeanyi. It's been a pleasure to have your company right from the start of this program to right about now, and we are slowly drawing to the end of the program. We hope that you've had your pen and paper and you've been listening keenly to what Noella has been saying, and hopefully you've been jotting, and I would see you start practicing some of the things she has said. She has asked us to sort out our waste before throwing them away, sort out the plastics from the non-plastics, sort out the ones that can easily get rotten from those that cannot get rotten, and then you can throw those that you can throw them maybe at your backyard, those that can easily get rotten. Then maybe those like the plastics, you can see how to reuse them to reduce the rate of plastic pollution outside. She's also asked us to plant more trees and reduce the way we cut trees. As we cut the trees, let's plant more. Hopefully you can, these are some of the things in which you can do, because growing up, and when I don't know about you, but when I used to grow up, when we were young, in almost every compound there was a tree.
That's true.
In almost every compound there was a tree, and that was like a gathering point for many persons. But nowadays it's hard to find it. Now you used to find that every compound is fenced and gated. But I'm sure even in the first compound we can still have trees, right?
Yeah, that's true.
And so we're hoping that we learn how to, or we start growing again the habit of planting more trees. Thank you very much, Noella, for coming to grace us with your presence.
Okay, madam, the pleasure is all mine.
All right, we are slowly coming to the end of this program, but just before we do that, I will not let you go off the hook just so soon. It's a rubric that whenever my guests come here, we play a game with them. And so now I want to play a little game with you. So this is how the game will go. I'll try to describe an animal, and then you would guess the animal. Are we good?
Okay, madam.
In the forest, there's an animal that is very long and tall. What's the animal?
Giraffe.
Okay, that was easy for you. There's an animal in the forest that has marks on its body, lots of marks on its body.
Hyena.
Maybe the hyena has marks. I'm not sure, so I don't know. But in my mind, it was a zebra that came forth.
Okay.
All right, and there is there is a species in the ocean that resembles a species on land and has almost the same name as a species on land, and it's just as quiet as a species on land.
Please come again.
There is a species in the ocean that has almost the same species here on land, almost the same name, and is as quiet and majestic as a species here on land.
Turtle.
You got that one right. Yes, the sea turtle. So just as we have land turtles, we also have sea turtles. It means I give the descriptions. I give myself away. And I'm very strict. Thank you very much for coming, Noella.
Thank you too.
And so as we want to leave now, we want to ask if you have any last words, especially for the public. Do you have any last words to the community?
Okay, I just want to encourage the community that the same enthusiasm they put in their daily activities, that love, that compassion that they put in their daily activities, they should also put the same love and compassion and enthusiasm in taking care of their environment to guarantee their environmental health and safety.
All right, thank you very much, Noella. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, again, it has been a pleasure to have your company. Thank you very much for following us right from the start of the program, right up to this time where we are packing our bags and drawing the curtains for today's edition of the program, Nature's Corner. We have been talking about World Environment and World Oceans Day, and hopefully you've had a grasp. And just to reiterate that World Environment Day was commemorated yesterday, June 5, with theme Land Restoration, Desertification, and Drought Resilience. And World Oceans Day will be commemorated on Saturday, June 8, with theme Catalyzing Action for Our Ocean and Climate. Hopefully you can look for any organization or institution beside you that will be commemorating this day and see how you can join them. Or as Noella said, you can still join from your house by keeping your environment clean and not just disposing of dirt anyhow. It's been a pleasure to have your company. Technical assistance for the program today came from Tamfo Clothing. We've had supervision from Editor-in-Chief Alizi Komilike, Princess Alizi Kamilike, and we've had general supervision from the manager of High TV, Ayok Eno Humphrey. It's a pleasure to have you join us today. We hope to see you again, or we hope to have you again next week, Thursday, from 3 p.m. Take the rendezvous. For now, bye-bye, and stay in the company of other interesting programs right here on High Television. My name is Jabi Kitty.